Do you know about Steve Irwin, one of Australia's most beloved TV personalities and wildlife conservationists? Over the years, he's become the face of wildlife documentaries and was loved by many. In this episode, we'll unravel the grisly details of Steve's violent encounter with a deadly stingray. Welcome to Amazing Animal Stories. Get ready for the story of the horrifying death of Steve Irwin, the Crocodile Hunter. On September 4th, 2006, Steve Irwin, the 44-year-old wildlife expert, set off for the Bat Reef near Port Douglas in northeastern Australia with his team to shoot underwater footage of an upcoming documentary called Ocean's Deadliest for the Discovery Channel. Despite director John Stanton's unease and suspicion of something going wrong, the documentary was already underway, and the channel had invested too much money to call it off. John drafted a will before reluctantly joining Steve and his cameraman, Justice Lyons, on the shoot. However, the eerie feeling persisted. Unfortunately, the premonition came true. Steve Irwin and his team arrived in a small town near Port Douglas and boarded Steve's 75-foot research boat, the Croc 1, just to sail to the Bat Reef near the Great Barrier Reef on the eastern Australian coast. They were hunting for a shark to film for an upcoming episode of Ocean's Deadliest. Upon arriving, they put on their snorkel and dove into the water, which was muddier than usual. After struggling to find a safe spot to search for a shark, they decided to call off the shoot for the day. However, before leaving, Steve spotted something of interest. It was not a shark, but a beautiful stingray. These marine animals can grow up to 5 meters long with a long, piercing tail that they have great control and agility over. Although this is their primary weapon in the underwater ecosystem, Steve knew that stingrays were not known to attack humans unless provoked or accidentally stepped on. Despite this, he was not intimidated by the creature and approached it with the same confidence and expertise he had gained from a lifetime of working with wildlife. Steve approached the stingray, thinking this was the perfect opportunity to film some shots for his daughter Bindi's upcoming wildlife children's show, Bindi the Jungle Girl. He signaled his cameraman, Justin Lyons, to swim down and start filming the animal. The sight itself was serene, with the colorful ocean floor as a backdrop. However, as Justin swam closer, they were unaware of what was about to happen. Steve was only a few feet above the stingray, trying to find the best angle to film when suddenly the stingray lunged its long, sharp tail upwards, slicing through Steve's chest. Steve didn't immediately realize the severity of the attack, but in the commotion of the water, Justin was painfully aware of the 2-inch hole in Steve's chest and the blood that was now spilling profusely. Fearing that the blood could attract a nearby shark, Justin grabbed Steve and urged him to swim to safety. Steve instructed Justin to keep the camera rolling despite the dire circumstances, hoping just to get something out of the encounter. As soon as they were back on the surface, it was clear that Steve was badly hurt. He was in intense pain and losing blood rapidly. Steve screamed that his lungs had been punctured, but the reality was even worse. The stingray's tail had penetrated the side of Steve's heart, and the massive blood loss meant that he could lose his life in just a few minutes. Justin screamed to the crew on the boat that Steve was severely injured and that he needed help immediately. The crew frantically put him on an inflatable speedboat and tried to get him to land as quickly as possible. Throughout, Steve displayed an unbreakable spirit, even as he was losing consciousness. Justin and the crew tried to stop the bleeding, calling on him to stay alive for the sake of his family and children. Steve realized these were his final moments and calmly said that he was going to die. Despite administering CPR, a few minutes later, Steve stopped moving. His eyes closed and his face turned blue. The beloved wildlife conservationist and TV presenter Steve Irwin was gone. Steve's wife, Terry, thanked the thousands who offered condolences and announced that his public memorial would be held at the Australian Zoo, where Steve felt most comfortable. The final moments of Steve's life were captured on camera, but were deleted out of respect for his family.